What is Clay.com and how can you use it? Hi, I'm Felix. I run a GTM engineering agency called Stack Optimize. We send around 1 million emails a month for over 25 B2B businesses and generate around 1,800 positive replies across our entire client base every single month using GTM engineering systems and AI-powered outbound campaigns across both email and LinkedIn. And we use Clay.com as the centerpiece for every single campaign that we launch at Stack Optimize. So in this video, I'm going to talk through what is Clay, how does it work, how can you use it, and why it is so valuable. Now, the easiest way to do this is to walk through a pre-built Clay table. So I'm going to jump into that right away. So we are looking at a Clay table right now, and you can think of Clay as a spreadsheet, but one that integrates with over 100 other data providers. And the reason why that is interesting is because it means you can upload a list of leads to your spreadsheet and then enrich those leads with additional data points and context to both find relevant contact information so that you can actually reach out to these leads, but also qualify them, segment them, and personalize them in the most effective way that's going to enable you to get positive replies. So right now we are looking at a Clay table that I have built for Stack Optimize, which means that it's an example of a table I will use to create campaigns for my own agency selling B2B lead generation or GTM engineering services. So the typical workflow we go through when building out Clay tables is we quite rarely start with building our initial lead list from inside of Clay. The reason being is that generally speaking, we can get better data outside of Clay and a greater volume of data. Now, Clay's people and company data is actually getting better all the time. So sometimes we are building our list inside of Clay, but generally speaking, we will build our list from LinkedIn or Apollo. LinkedIn has the best persona data out there. It is the most up-to-date database because people are updating their LinkedIn profiles in real time, and it just has the greatest number of leads in there, and basically every other B2B database is scraping from LinkedIn. So you can imagine we've scraped a list of leads. In this case, they are CEOs, and then we have downloaded that list as a CSV file and then uploaded it into our Clay table. Now from LinkedIn, we get a number of different data points. In this case, we have individuals' names, we have their company name, we have their job title, their location, their company domain, and their LinkedIn profile URL. Now, the first thing we want to do when building out our Clay tables is to just qualify our leads. We want to make sure that these are actually the right types of individuals that we can sell to and that therefore we want to be reaching out to. So for me, Stack Optimize, we can only sell to B2B businesses. So we want to remove B2C businesses from the list. So the first thing we're going to do is qualify our leads inside of Clay. The way we do that is we use Clay's AI agent feature called Claygent, which basically can perform tasks for us using natural language. And in this case, we're just going to prompt it to say, visit the domain of all of the domains in our table here and basically just confirm for us whether or not these are B2B or B2C businesses and only output either B2B or B2C. Now we're going to get a series of outputs here ranging from B2B to B2C, and we can use this information to filter out all of the B2C leads from our table. So now we're only pushing through the B2B leads to the next step. The next step is finding validated emails. So we've qualified our leads inside of Clay, and right now we have a table of 20 rows. This could be 200 rows. It could be 20,000 rows, right? The beauty of Clay is that we're able to perform these enrichments at scale. So with our B2B leads, we now want to find validated email addresses. So we're using here what's called a waterfall enrichment process, whereby we are checking multiple email providers for a valid email address. Rather than relying on a single provider like a ZoomInfo or a Cognizant or an Apollo, in this case, we are using 6 different providers. And when we run this, what's going to happen is it's going to check the first provider for an email address. If it doesn't find it there, it's going to move on to the second provider and so on and so forth until it gets a hit. And this just enables us to maximize our email coverage. So we have our valid emails in this column here. The next thing we want to do is now enrich our leads with additional data points and context that we can use to personalize our emails. So this is extremely customized depending on what your business does, what your offer is, the industry you're selling into, et cetera, et cetera. Again, in this case, I'm selling B2B lead generation or GTM engineering services. So I only want to find the triggers or data points that are relevant to my specific offer. So here is what I'm looking for in my Clay table. The first thing I'm doing is to find out whether or not any of the companies in my table are hiring for roles in sales or business development. If a company is hiring in sales, it's a pretty good indication to me that they are investing in growing the sales org, in getting new opportunities, in building their pipeline. So that's a nice trigger that I can leverage. Now, I can then see which of these companies are hiring for these particular roles. So this company is hiring for one role. I can see the details of the job itself, senior enterprise sales executive. This company here is hiring for 6 roles in sales and business development, a commercial sales manager, an SDR, a solution architect pre-sales, not as relevant, partner sales lead. So I might want to refine this further and just make the job ad sales development or business development, because we're getting a kind of a broader range here. But you get the picture. Next step is I am now looking to see which of these companies are growing in headcount. So I'm pulling through the data on change in headcount over the last 6 months. So I can see here, Praxis, this company has grown by 24% in the last 6 months. Again, that's a great indication to me that they are growing and scaling as a business. This company here, GitHub, has shrunk by 12% in the last 6 months. So that might be a reason for me to reach out with a slightly different angle. And I could say something like, hey, I noticed you guys are downsizing. Perhaps you're interested in more efficient ways of booking meetings and growing your pipeline. The next thing I'm doing is seeing if they are using any relevant technologies for my offer. In my case, we integrate directly with HubSpot and Salesforce. So in this case, I'm just looking to see if any of these companies are currently using HubSpot. In the next 2 columns, I'm looking to see if they have raised any funding, which is outputted here. And then in these 2 columns, I'm checking to see if they have particular people in seat. So the first thing I'm doing is I want to see the size of their current SDR team. So I'm basically just seeing if they have any current employees on their team that have sales development or business development in their title. I can see this company have 25 SDRs or BDRs. This company has 33. And again, that's a number I can use and reference in my emails. Or maybe I can use that number to segment the campaigns. Maybe I want to run a specific campaign to companies with large SDR teams and a different campaign for companies with no SDRs or small SDR teams. This column, I'm checking to see if they have hired basically a sales leadership title within the last 6 months. And that way I can basically reach out to the CEO and mention how I've seen that they have just hired a sales leadership role. And I could say something like, rather than having your head of sales worry about how to build pipeline, we can take care of this for you. And they can focus on building out the sales function and closing and processes, et cetera, et cetera. I'm doing a few more things here with Claygent. This is probably the most interesting one. I'm getting Claygent to visit the websites of all of these companies and identify public case studies that they've shared on their website. That way I can reference those case studies in my email by saying something like, hey, I noticed you guys have case studies with Coca-Cola and Tesla. Using our AI-powered systems, we can help you sign logos from similar companies. Finally, I'm scoring the leads in my table based on how many of these personalization points we were able to find. In this case, the scoring is out of 6, I believe, because we're looking for 6 different pieces of criteria. And so for this row here, Hannah Ferry, the CEO of whichever company this is, charter up, it looks like, we've been able to find 6 out of 6 personalization points. For this row, we weren't able to find any. Now, actually, in this table, the scoring isn't super relevant because I'm going to be reaching out to all of these leads regardless of the score. But this is a super powerful function for a variety of reasons. Being able to score your accounts allows you to prioritize them. So for example, the accounts that have the highest score, you might prioritize them for multi-channel outreach. So you might call these leads, send them emails, and send them LinkedIn DMs. For the lower scored leads, you might send them to a lower lift sequence, like a purely automated cold email campaign. And finally, we are creating all of our email copy from inside of Clay. In this case, we are using Anthropic because Claude is the best copywriter of all of the LLMs right now. And this is quite a simplified way in which we are creating copy. It can definitely work. For a more sophisticated or advanced way, you might use a separate Claude enrichment for each email. In this case, we are just using one Claude enrichment to generate all 3 emails in a 3-step email sequence. And I'm not going to read through this entire prompt, but you can obviously just pause it and read through it yourself. But basically what we're saying is, I work for this company called Stack Optimize. I want to send a 3-step email sequence to my ideal prospects. I want you to include all of the personalization points that we've just found in the previous columns in the table. I want you to follow some basic guidelines and instructions. And then I want you to output only the email, no other information, not the subject line, not the signature or anything else like this. Once we've done this, it's now going to output 3 emails in these 3 columns here. And these are pretty basic emails because I didn't put a huge amount of effort into this prompt. But what I did try and ensure in the prompt is that I wanted to create a 3-step email sequence where all 3 of the emails different, are unique, but more importantly, each one is touching on a different personalization point or a different trigger or offering a different piece of value or a different CTA. This is how we want to think about crafting our multiple step sequences. Is what we want to avoid is pitching an email 1 and then using email 2 and 3 to say something like just bumping this up or just following up. Instead, we want to use email 2 and 3 as another opportunity to grab our prospects' attention, touch on a different pain point, offer some different value, reference a different trigger or personalization point. So we're just maximizing our chances of getting that prospect to respond to us. So very quickly, I'm going to run through these. Email 1 to Bruce here. We are saying, hey, Bruce, saw you're hiring SDRs at Rocket. Congrats on the growth. We helped ASPCA 3x their pipeline by automating personalized outreach at scale. Would you be open to a quick call to discuss how Stack Optimize could help you hit your growth targets? So basically, we are referencing the fact they're hiring SDRs as the trigger. We're referencing a relevant case study from a similar space. And we're pretty much just going straight for the call in email 1. In email 2, we are saying, hi, Bruce, just wanted to bump my previous email. I know things move fast at Rocket, especially with Michael Dunlop coming on board to lead sales. We recently helped Newegg boost revenue by 22% through AI-driven outreach. Happy to walk through a personalized proposal on how we can help you achieve similar results. So in this case, we're referencing a different trigger, the fact they've just hired a head of sales, and we're actually referencing that person by name in the first paragraph. And we're also offering a different value proposition here. We're not just going for the call. We're offering to walk through a personalized proposal on exactly how we can generate results for Bruce's business. And finally, email 3. Hey, Bruce, last follow-up. I know optimizing transactional opportunities is a big focus for Rocket. Our platform integrates directly with your existing HubSpot setup to drive engagement at scale. We did this for BetterHelp. I'd love to send over a quick video demo. What's the best email to send that to? So final email then, we are again referencing a separate personalization point and value proposition this time by mentioning the fact that they are using HubSpot and how we can integrate directly into HubSpot. And then again, our CTA this time, we are offering to send a personalized video demo to walk through how the solution works. So again, not the best emails, but the point of this breakdown was just to show you how we want to think about copywriting across a sequence and how we're able to build out campaigns in which we are personalizing in a different way across all 3 emails using Clay. And so that brings us to the end of the video. I hope this has been a useful breakdown of how we can use Clay. The main value of Clay in the context of outbound is for us to be able to basically manipulate and prepare large lead lists at scale. We can have lead lists of tens of thousands, and using AI and automation, we can qualify them at scale. We can segment them into different campaigns. We can enrich them with additional data points and context, and then use those data points to craft really personalized, really compelling messages to our leads. And then finally, from here, we would then push them to our engagement tool, whether that's an email sequencer like Smart Lead or Instantly, a LinkedIn automation tool like Get Sales, or a sales engagement platform like Outreach or Salesloft. If you want to learn how to build these systems yourself, we released the world's first GTM engineering course. I'll leave the link in the description below, and you can check it out and sign up if it appeals. Or if you want us to build these systems for you, you can book a call with my link in the calendar in the description.